Hello, part two from London town. Assorted, assorted topics, a travel log. So what do we got here? Naproxen sodium, which helps alleviate inflammation and the pain associated with that. You can take too much of it. I talked to a doctor the other day who, like my friend, took too much of it and had some, is it the kidneys? It has some issues if you take too much every day. Don't take it every day. That was both of their problems. Twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. But I'm trying to write a song called Responsibility, or that idea of responsibility. Maybe part of our responsibility is to each other to help create a good life, a good city, community, nation, world. But maybe it begins before that. My responsibility to take care of myself. I don't stretch as much as I should. I need to do better at exercising at the age of 66. It's much more important than it was when I was 22. And that's a responsibility to myself, but also if I'm not at my best, then I'm not at my best as a citizen, as a person in the community. So maybe part of the responsibility is to everything, including myself, including my community. What's my number one goal in being here, I guess, is to understand or experience London. They have a lot of parks. I underappreciated London the first time I was here because it was so short and brief and so many people, and I didn't like it. It was more in the central city, but now I'm around Notting Hill, and it's quieter. And if you look at a map of London, you'll see a lot of parks, maybe not gigantic parks, but parks and lots of green space. They may do a better job than many cities in the United States that are much smaller. But green space, like this tree outside, we need that. We need nature. We're not bigger than nature. Nature is bigger than us. Nature is our mother and father. So we need that to relate to and to learn from and be humble in its presence and its divinity and its beauty. We need to do a better job at that. And when people put down public housing, well, part of the reason is you make these gigantic buildings of ugliness and very little green space and too many people in too little space, so you create a shitty place for people to live. Around here, almost everything is 4 stories, 5 stories, maybe 6, but nothing bigger than that. And that's humane. That's more humane than something that's 40 stories tall. You're going home, you have to ride up 40 stories to get to your apartment. We can create good public housing because the private sector is charging way too high rent and people can't afford to live. And maybe a better way to do that is through some type of public foundations that help create apartments like some of the apartments in Europe that you buy. And a cooperative or an association of the owners of the building work together and decide together how much to pay a month and paying for the insurance or paying for the groundskeeping or paying for the maintenance. But still owning, the idea of ownership, but it would be an apartment and not a house with a yard. A lot of people will never get that, and that's okay if they have a decent place to live called an apartment. So the main thing I think I really want to see before I leave London is the Magna Carta. 2 copies at the public library, the London Library, not at the museum, I'm surprised. But this idea, 1215, where the idea that the king can't just do what he wants. Trump seems to be doing all these things like he's the king, and the Supreme Court is terrible in letting, he can do anything. It's like a king. I mean, that's what we fought. We fought King George III, and we're going right back to it. This is a good book called Witnesses at the Creation. It's Hamilton, Madison, and Jay in the Constitution. But we know more about Hamilton and Madison. We need to know more about John Jay, the first Supreme Court Justice, and just his role. I'd like to spend more time as a teacher on the, say, 1700 to 1790, until after the Constitution and after the Bill of Rights, which happened after the Constitution. In Paris, I want to see Hammurabi's Code, which is in the Louvre. Is that from 1000 BC or something? Just this idea of how do we live together, rules and regulations, laws, legislation. And we have a democracy, so we have to decide on this. And you can't hide. You can't hide behind, I work so much, I don't have time for politics. No, that's not going to work. Not in a democracy. In a dictatorship, it would. You can say, man, just let the dictator, but that's not what we want. We want democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. I want my rights. I think those are human rights. And the right to clean water, good food, housing, health care. I think that's basic human rights. And if we're not creating a society that does those, I think it's on our back. It's our responsibility to do that. So let's do that. I want you to enjoy yourself and be yourself. And so on the way back here, I went by a gallery that had a lot of color, and it says something about color. So I told him, I said, I'm gonna send you a few prints. I like to paint, and I'll send them some prints that I've done. And some people can say, oh, you're no artist. And I'm like, okay, I'm not saying I'm the greatest artist, but it's, I enjoy it. It's fun. I think some of it has merit and quality, and I will send them some just because. Live, baby, live, baby. Don't let people will put you down. You can't stop them, but who cares? Just, stay away from them if you can. And the internet's a terrible, terrible place for that. All the haters. A lot of them are just fake bots from different countries trying to make Americans hate each other and just be angry and hateful and try to destroy our society, And this is from troll communities that are paid for by rich people or terrible governments that are run by dictators. So, stay away from that. Stay away from this negativity. And don't get involved in hating. I've talked to people before. I said, one thing I don't like about Trump is he hates this and hates the immigrants and hates this, and I don't want to get into that. I hate this, and I hate what they're doing. Hate is a terrible thing. Be positive and do the positive thing and move forward and support candidates and governments and legislation. So a lady that helped serve breakfast this morning, she's Romanian. So I wanted to learn, how do I say good morning? Bună dimineața. Natsa. Bună dimineața. Hello. Bună ziua. Thank you. Mulțumesc. How are you? Kim I. Fauci. I think it's Fauci. I'm thinking of the Dr. Fauci that Trump hated. My God, you tell me who's done more for humanity, Trump or Fauci, who helped fight diseases all over the world, deadly diseases. You tell me something Trump did to help the people of the world. Yeah, we're upside down on morality, but we'll turn around. the guy at the bar last night, he's from Goa, which I looked at. I guess it's a nation in kind of southwestern India. How are you? Kasa Asa. Kasa Asa. How are you? They speak Konkani. I think it's Konkani. Namaskar. Namaskar. God give you a good day. Anyway, just to learn a few things, just for fun. Just for fun. Have fun. Be good. Create goodness. Use good seeds. Cultivate good seeds. Cultivate yourself. You're a good seed. And we should be able to say, love you, brother, love you, sister, love you, everybody. It should be easier for us to say, easier for me to say. We can do that.